invisible friends out there in YouTube land, welcome back to my channel. My name is Haley and I am the Bookish Stitcher. If you're new here, welcome. I wanted to start a special stitch along with all of you. This is a kit that I'm going to only work on this video, and that way you can see the whole thing from start to finish. I did jump ahead a little bit and kit it up already. I did do a kit up in my previous video, so you can go ahead and watch that if you want to see how I kit up my projects. So this is the piece that we're going to be working on. So we'll go ahead and get started on Petunia here. Go ahead and grab a drink or something to stitch on yourself, and we will get started. Alright, so I'm gonna go over what I have here and then we'll get to stitching. So got our canvas for the kit and then a few things. Also, I have my pre-threaded needles. I have a needle minder to keep those organized. Got these fun colorful scissors with some flowers on them and a needle threader. So go ahead, get that out of the way. Okay, so we're going to start down here with her foot. I'm going to work on the yellow and red squares today. So I'm sorry, they're going to be kind of boring brown colors. So first I got 2 strands pre-threaded for number 18, which is our yellow square. The color on this is 833. And this is a 11 count, so I have 3 strands. I'm gonna go ahead and do the loop method for our cast on. Go. Alright, got that going. How's everybody day? I hope everybody's having a good, what's today, Friday? I'm glad to be done with the week. I'm not sure if I've ever said, but if you guys ever have any questions or either about myself or what I stitch or how I stitch on it, please go ahead and leave them down in the comments below. And I will make sure to answer everything in a future video, probably one just like this. I do pre-tape my videos a few at a time, so if you don't see it or hear me answering it on the next video I post, I'll make sure to get to it soon afterwards. But I'd love to hear from all of you and kind of hear what you guys have to say or want to hear about me, because I am not somebody who finds myself to be very exciting. Like, I work from home, so I don't leave my house too much. There's not a lot really to do around where I am. There's no real like stitching clubs or, you know, any sort of things to do beyond just going outside and hiking, which is fine. No problems going out and being in nature, but I don't know, it'd be nice. You can't always meet new friends that way, so alright. I don't like to do jumps in my stitching. I also am not a huge fan of parking or just using small pieces of thread. and putting them away. I am much happier going through and starting and stopping new pieces of thread versus doing stitches and skips behind. I just feel like it lets the final piece sit down a lot flatter in the frame. That being said, I should not have started this way. But that's just my personal preference. I know everybody is certainly different, which is what's so great about these. Like, even though it's the same kit and everybody gets the same fabric, it's the same threads, everybody uses a slightly different method, or they'll change something, or the way they stitch looks different from the way that other people stitch, and it's just really a lot of fun, I think. It really adds that, yeah, you're following a pattern or whatever, but it just really helps it feel more like yours, more unique. I have never really been successful in using the sewing method. I know that if I could, it would be a lot faster. But, you know, a lot of times it's not about the speed, right? It's not about how fast you stitch. It's about how much you enjoy stitching, or, you know, how it looks like at the end. Whatever is most important to you and your craft. Guess. Let's see. What else? My oldest cat, Cooper, just turned 17 today. He's a good boy. I got him right after I graduated high school, and I still lived with my parents. The cat that we'd had, you know, basically since I was born, more or less, had died a couple weeks prior, or maybe a month prior, and I decided that my other cat, Bruin, who my mom gave me for my 6th birthday, wanted a friend. Bruin did not want a friend, but that's fine because we got Cooper anyway. Cooper, like I said, is 17. He was named after Anderson Cooper, who I was 100% obsessed with back in the day. And he stayed with my parents. When I moved out, I wasn't allowed to take him with me at that point, so he lived at my parents until he was probably about 15, I think. Don't quote me on that, I'm not 100% sure. But at that point, my mom and dad adopted a puppy from Puerto Rico. He was a rescue dog. And Cooper and Jackson, the puppy, didn't really get along. So we decided amongst ourselves that since I was looking for a new cat to bring upstairs to my office with me, because it's back when I was living in an apartment that my grandparents owned. I had a whole separate apartment for my office, and Casey, who I think will be 10 next month. I'll have to double check. I'll have to ask him. Wasn't particularly suited for office work. So, Cooper's always been a very mellow cat. He's pretty clingy, I will admit that. But that's fine. You know, very vocal. Always will let you know when it's time for food, when his food dish is empty. So that's when I think he came to stay with me in October, and then that year, and that same year, so like a little over a month later, we found out that we were going to buy a house. So we started. Cooper was originally just staying up in the office, chilling out. I'd go up to see him on weekends, and he was living his best cat life. No dogs, comfy furniture, super happy, super chill. But once we found out we were buying the house, I'm like, well, if Cooper's gonna come stay with us, you know, I don't have a separate office space. I don't really, you know, want to have to make him move back in with the dog being, you know, 15 years old. So I started integrating him into, I don't know if you can hear the cat's playing like right underneath my desk. My threads came off my needle minder. Anyway, I started integrating him into our greater cat family. So now he lives upstairs with the rest of the cats. Happily, it definitely wasn't easy. Definitely not introduced an adult cat into my cat family before. It did not always go very well, but you know, he's a member of, I don't know what you call it. I call it my cat clan, my cat pride. So, and that's kind of the story of Cooper. So yeah, he turned 17 today. Last time we have a mobile vet come because we have so many cats. It's easier than having to make that many vet appointments. We can keep everybody on the same vaccine schedule. Hold on just a second. Excuse me, Mr. Cecil. We do not eat plastic. Thank you. Yeah, so anyway, the last time the vet came, she pronounced him to be in excellent health and said that he could probably live for another 6 years. So, strong lungs, strong heart, strong will to live. He's a good boy. Let's see, talk about Casey. Casey was my first secret cat. Like I said, I wasn't allowed to have cats in my apartment, but it was also my grandparents' apartment. So I'm like, what are they gonna do? Evict me? So one of my friends at work at the time had found and was fostering a pregnant stray. And she had kittens, obviously, and I went to go help her socialize them, and I decided I needed kittens. So I brought home Casey. Pretty sure he's 10. Yeah, he'll be 10 on June 29th. play nice, please. And I kept him and I didn't tell anybody I had him, and I had him for almost 2 months before I had to tell anybody that I did have him. And anyway, the rest of Casey's history, he is a very sensitive soul. He doesn't like change, but he's going to pretend that he does. He's always the one who is meeting people at the front door, is expecting treats, and loves belly rubs, but he gets stressed out easily. He's kind of weird that way. He wants all this attention, but also doesn't. When Casey was 2.5, I rescued a pair of kittens that I had found. There are 2 girls, so they'll be 7 this year. Nope, 8 this year. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy for me. So they are Cabot and Cassidy. They didn't get very well socialized because right after they were my second secret cats that I didn't tell anybody about. Now, when my grandmother found about them, she was pretty angry, and I can't 100% blame her for being angry, but you know, whatever. There you are. You're gonna do what you want to do, and you're in your 20s and renting from your grandparents. But anyway, I got them. They were really sick. Lots of worms. So Cassidy had colic. Basically, she'd sit up and cry all night, and I'd wrap her in a swaddling blanket and rock her till she went to sleep. And now she hates me. She hates everybody. They kind of really, especially Cassidy. Cabot's very sweet. She's just very shy, but she loves to come and she'll sit next to me while I'm working upstairs, and just purr and rub herself all over me. She's just very sweet. Cassidy, I say, is a feral cat that lives in my house. I love her to death. She's beautiful. She won't let me love her. She won't. You'll never see her if you come over to my house. But that's that. And then there's Coolidge. Coolidge will be 2 in August. He was my birthday cat. 2020. I decided that since, I wasn't allowed to get any more cats, because my grandmother said she'd evict me if I got any more cats, and yeah, I believed her. I 100% think that she would have evicted me if I got any more cats. So I said, alright, I'm gonna move in the house and get all settled, and then the next thing I'm gonna do is get a cat. And the wife's like, yeah, sure, you're gonna get another cat, whatever. So end of August, one of my mom's co-workers had a female cat who had kittens, and I let Wyatt pick which one he wanted. After I said, babe, please can I have a kitten? It's the only thing I want in the whole world. It'll be ready the week before my birthday. You can call it my birthday present. Please, 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 please. To which he said yes. Because how could you not? So I let him pick, and he picked black and white tuxedo. I named Coolidge. In case you haven't noticed yet, all of my cats' names begin with C. Just side note. Anyway, Coolidge is named after, you know, Calvin Coolidge, because he was a president, and he's a tuxedo, so he needed a very fancy name to match his fancy outfit. And Calvin Coolidge was from Vermont, so it seemed fitting. So, got Coolidge, and Coolidge was exactly the kitten that I needed. He followed me around. I could carry him, and he'd sleep in my arms like a baby. He'd sleep with me every night. It is very special, and exactly the cat that I needed at that time. So, and then there was Cecil, who we got this year right before Christmas. I had got him from the same person that I got Coolidge from. They are biological brothers, and I got pictures of Cecil right before we went to Florida, also right before my birthday, and he was ready to go at that point, and I'm just like, please, 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 please. He is so cute. I've been talking forever about how I wanted to clone Coolidge. Right? Like, Coolidge is my perfect cat. And I just wanted more of him. I just couldn't not have more of him. Like, this is the closest thing that I'll ever get to cloning Coolidge. But, you know, it wasn't the right time. It would be a bad idea to adopt a kitten and then go away for, you know, just over a week. So instead, I didn't. Alright, next I'm gonna switch over to color 14 on the pattern, which is color 801, and it's gonna be these red boxes. Need to fix this. So anyway, we got home from Florida, and about a month later, I asked my mom, hey, ask that guy if he still has kittens. And now, the first time I saw a picture of Cecil, I'm like, oh my god, this cat looks like a grumpy old man. Needs a grumpy old man name. His name would totally be Cecil. Cecil, not Cecil. And Mom's like, oh my god, you're right. So we got Cecil. A few days before, about a little over a week before Christmas. And he is I wouldn't say he's the exact opposite of Coolidge, but where Coolidge is snuggly and warm, and Cecil's rambunctious and playful and is not careful with his claws. So he's definitely not Coolidge, but I love him. He is just such a bright point, you know, as a spark. And they get along so well, the two of them. I don't regret getting any of the cats, but I definitely couldn't be happier that I bullied my husband into letting me get Cecil. And that is the story of my 6 cats. I have been banned from getting another cat. I keep saying, well, we should get a 7th cat, because 7 is a lucky number in, a lot of Asian cultures. And Wyatt says no. Invisible Stitchy friends, so at this point my mic cut out. I think it's wireless, so I think I filmed too much this day and it just kind of like ran out of battery or the will to live, whichever. So yep, those are the stories of my cats, and I'm sorry if I repeat anything I already said earlier in the video, but honestly, I've been practicing making these videos for so long. I practice in the shower, I practice in my head. I just don't even remember what stories I have actually told you versus which stories I have told imaginary you while I was practicing. But a lot of people end up asking me, like, why do you have so many cats? Like, it's so weird that I have this many cats and that I want more, and I guess I can kind of understand it from somebody else's point of view, but I guess if I'm honest, the real answer is I hate to be alone. I grew up, we always had a pet in the house, not that I was ever really left to be alone. Anyway, one of my parents was always there with me, but we always had pets around. And when I moved out and I was living in the apartment with my ex, I wasn't allowed to have a cat, and that was rough, like, I'm not somebody who is used to coming home to an empty house. I'm not used to walking around. Like, I walk around and talk to myself all day, but I say that I'm walking around and I'm talking to the cats, even though at least 3 out of 6 of them are either in a different room or asleep. But it's just, I don't know, and it maybe it's just because I've always done it, because I always have had cats, but that's where it is. And basically I don't want to be alone. I don't want to come home to an empty house. I don't want to walk around here and feel like this, I call it like this weight, right? This weight of loneliness that I feel when there's not a living creature around. I don't know how else to put it other than that, but yep, I'd gladly take more cats, and I shouldn't, pick on Wyatt too much. 6 cats is a lot of work, and he's not a big pet person to begin with, so he gets to not get it. But I don't know. I'm kind of obviously lost for words about my cats, so I'll stop talking about the cats. Oh, one more story. When I used to work in my old retail store before I got my at-home job, a lot of really weird people, let's call them middle-aged men, would come in and always ask weird personal questions, right? They'd ask, if you're married, how old you were, and like things that I wouldn't consider it to be appropriate to ask a complete stranger, especially a complete stranger who's at least half your age. But the other one I got a lot was, how many kids do you have, right? Not, do you have kids? How many kids do you have? Which I kind of feel like that was like, it definitely wasn't a compliment, So I used to say that I had, 3 or 4 kids, depending on how many cats I had. So I'd be like, oh yeah, I have 3. I have a boy and twin girls. And then I got Cooper. I'm like, yeah, I got 4 kids. The oldest one is 16. They kind of look at you funny. But that's That's the perks of having cats. You can use them as fake children to creepy people who you don't want to talk to. I guess. I don't know. You guys let me know how many cats is too many cats? Is it weird for strangers to ask you how many kids you have? Like, I am in New England. I have a very traditional New England grandparents on my mother's side. Like, you don't ask people questions that you don't already know the answer to. We are when somebody asks you how your day is, you say your day was fine, even if it wasn't, sort of folk. So maybe I am just reading too much into it. I have had a tendency to do that in the past. I just kind of assume that the way I was raised is the only way, and that's why I don't like to go out much in public, because I have a personal bubble that is much larger than other people seem to think my personal bubble should be. Anywho, what else was I talking about here? I don't remember. I'm sorry, you guys. But I am so excited to be able to have you guys to talk to while I do this. Oh, here is when I was trying to play Floss Chicken, and I decided that I failed. I just had 2 stitches left in that row, and or maybe 3, and I just really wanted to finish up with that little piece of floss, and I failed. So when I go back to it, I have literally 2 stitches to do with that one color. I hate that, but what you gonna do, right? That's kind of the nature of floss. You try to cheat it, and it does not appreciate it. This was really not very nice fabric. Like, I'm looking at myself struggle with this needle, and I don't know how to describe it other than it's flat. Like, you know, a lot of Aida has like grooves in it. This feels completely flat. But anyway, here I am showing you the progress I made today. You can hardly tell based off of the colors yet, but it's gonna be a long time coming, just doing a few strands in a week. And I am really excited to work on this and share it with you as it gets finished. So I'm gonna upload this guy, or this lady, Miss Petunia, once a week, probably on Fridays until it's done. But thank you guys for joining, and have a beautiful rest of your day stitching. Bye! I think, yeah, okay, now bye!